am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls. Prepare for Prattle.
Secret Ball Stories. Welcome to Prattle World. I am your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan, and in this podcast I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that the mainstream audience may find boring. And welcome to my first ever non-Patreon proper YouTube video. I was going to do this for my Patreon, but one of my Patreon have asked me to do them a little favour, so I'm going to release this directly out for freezies. Freezies is a word I'm sure that people use, but just to help them promote a little thing that they're doing. But I am going to be looking mostly at He-Man Thundercats, the comic book crossover miniseries, just in time for the release of He-Man Masters of the Universe Revelations. So without further ado, let's get going. Before I start talking about He-Man Thundercats, I just wanted to tell you about an excellent new book that has just been released. It is called Judging Dredd, and it is all about everyone's favourite fascist policeman, Judge Dredd, from famous UK comic book publisher 2000 AD. This particular book has been put together by Scott Weatherly of one of my favourite podcasts. It is 20th Century Geek, and he has another podcast as well and several other things, and he's a writer on top of that. Excellent work, excellent guy as well, and he's collected all these essays from various writers, and including Tony Farina, who is on another excellent podcast. I'm going to leave all these links below in the show notes, so make sure you click on them, where to buy the book and the podcasts, and where to find all those excellent people. It's got a foreword by Matt Smith and interviews with Pat Mills, which are part of the 2000 AD history and worked solely on Dredd. I believe Matt Smith is the longest editor to edit the Judge Dredd comic, the Judge Dredd stories. So really interesting, and all these different essays, such a variety of essays as well. Excellent stuff, really deep diving into the satire, the story, the characters of Dredd, and the world encompassing Dredd. You're looking at the Dark Judges, the movie adaptations, the Thatcherism, the fascism, the Cold War, every conceivable thing you can think of that involves Judge Dredd is covered in this book. All these amazing deep dives looking into every facet of Judge Dredd. I highly recommend it. It's very reasonably priced. It's on Amazon, or you can get it from Sequart or Sequential Art, I think they're called. Go do it, go buy it. Excellent stuff, fantastic read. I've read some of the articles already, some of the essays rather, and just excellent work. So definitely go and check out Judging Dredd. Go do it and explore deeper than ever before the world of Judge Dredd. Okay, so now we can talk about the He-Man Thundercats crossover, this crossover comic. I really love a good crossover comic, and this one does not disappoint at all. We get the two famous 80s cartoon franchises crossing over, meeting each other, battling, villains teaming up, multiverses explored. Excellent stuff. First of all, I didn't know He-Man Revelations was out this week, so it's kind of a weird bit of synergy there, but excellent really that it's come. I know there's been a bit of controversy. I've yet to watch it, but I know that kind of Teela takes the lead on this, and that He-Man and Skeletor are put to the side a little bit, but I don't have an issue with that. I know some people, there's some very male, misogynistic, toxic fans out there, and obviously they're not happy. Who knew that a character called He-Man would have really toxic male fans? Who knew? But I'm not a massive... I don't know a lot about these two franchises. I'm abreast of them. I kind of know the characters that are involved, but I'm not like a hardcore fan, so I'm not... Coming into this, I was a little worried, like, will I enjoy this? Will I get the most out of this particular story and these characters, not knowing what I do about other things like the Marvel Universe. I'm well versed in all that, but with these, I was kind of like, I'll see how I go, with the continuity and stuff and who these characters are. But I had a basic understanding of both and rough kind of the archetypes of those characters, Teela, Man of War, Chitara, Panthro, all those kind of characters. I know the gist. It's it's a kid's cartoon. It's pretty on a basic level. It's enough for a kid to understand. So this is not necessarily that kid friendly, I would say. There's swearing, there's a fair bit of blood and violence, so I don't think it's one. And yeah, there's some other stuff as well that is probably not kid friendly, but it does very much fall in that vein if you're like an old school fan and you want a more mature take on these characters. This is definitely one for you. The writers of the comic are not necessarily known for writing comics themselves, even though they have. Rob David, who is in charge of, he's the head of Mattel's kind of entertainment He-Man division. So he's kind of the Kevin Feige of the He-Man brand. So he's always kind of either co-writing or producing. He's had a hand in the new Revelations TV show. So he's very much he's a fountain of knowledge for He-Man and knowing about all those kind of things and all the intricacies of that character and how to portray him. This is actually produced by DC Comics, who helped produce a lot of these recent kind of He-Man Masters of the Universe comics, and even had crossovers as well with, there's quite a nice little nod to Superman later in the story as well, when they're traveling the multiverses. Also, there was a Injustice Masters of the Universe crossover with the Injustice version of the DC characters, butting heads with the Masters of the Universe. So there's a lot of that. Lloyd Goldfine, who's another writer on it, he is more known for producing cartoons like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of the early 2000s and the Turtles Forever movie. So he's part of that. And the writer is Freddie E. Williams II, I want to say. He's known again for producing more crossovers and writing more comics, so he's more in the comic book world. Batman and the Ninja Turtles, one of the crossovers he did the art for. So he's well versed in that world. So yeah, let's talk about the book itself. So it kind of starts off, and Prince Adam is keeping his secret of being He-Man from his father, and it's causing tension. He's a bit of a, he turns up to a ceremony that's for Prince Adam that he just rocks up late and everyone's waiting for him. He's like, you don't know what real responsibility is. And he's like, yeah, I kind of do, blah, blah, blah. And on the other side of the multiverse, Mumm-Ra, the villain from the Thundercats, has been told that the way to defeat, he's coming back from a recent defeat from Lion-O and the rest of the Thundercats, and he said, and the ancient spirits of evil, who he works for, who give him his power, they basically say, we have some item that we need you to collect from another universe, and we think this will be the key to defeating the Thundercats and freeing us from our prison. So he travels to Eternia, home of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, and proceeds to stab Prince Adam in the chest with the Sword of Power, which is an excellent way to open up the story, and I was well invested straight away. It's quite bloody, quite violent, quite gruesome. There's a lot of blood, but it still has that cartoon feel, which I quite like. There's a kind of almost a timeless quality and a nice kind of openness. Like I said, like the continuity, I was a bit like, I don't know if I'll get into this, but they really, anybody could read this and enjoy this and get a buzz from it. You don't necessarily have to be a He-Man or a Thundercats fan. I think if you literally just open up the page like I did, you will have a blast with this. It is a fun read. The writing, I think, is quite sharp. It's quite witty. It's really funny, especially the teaming up of Skeletor and Mumm-Ra, which was, obviously always going to happen. But the kind of backbiting and the bitterness towards each other is really funny. They effectively are the main characters in this as well. It's something I didn't foresee when I picked up. I thought, the lead characters, the narrators will be He-Man or Lion-O. They're the lead characters. But no, it's actually I love good villains. I really have a lot of fun with villains, and villains as kind of protagonists in a way. In a way, they are for the first at least half of the story. They're leading the kind of quest for these objects of power and how to take over and gain ultimate power and get into Castle Grayskull. And they call it a nexus of all realities and stuff. And this is orb of power. There's tons of MacGuffins. There's a million MacGuffins in this, but it still kind of works and comes together. Even the sound effects are really funny. Like there's like when He-Man punches somebody, it's like concuss as the kind of onomatopoeia, or I think someone gets kicked in the balls and it's like pud, and you're like, oh yeah. So there's a lot of humor to be had, but it's kind of MCU humor, which kind of you might like, you might not necessarily like. It is purely dependent on who you are and your own sense of humor. But I got a lot out of it because I had there was a fun aspect, there was that cartoon aspect, and every character gets something to do. They have a moment. Even like Orko and Snarf have humorous moments, and Battle Cat has a moment. Everyone gets a section or a segment just to kind of show who they are and appreciate. And what I like about a good crossover comic as well is you get these moments that kind of show how similar the franchises are together and how different they are. And I think this one really does lean into that. And I think it's great to show like the immaturity of Lion-O, but then also to show the fragility of Prince Adam within the He-Man form, and Teela and Chitara having a kind of a budding rivalry, or Panthro and Man-at-Arms having this kind of like, well, your technology is very outdated, you're almost barbarians, and he's like, well, how dare you, kind of thing. There's all this kind of going on, and again, it's fun. You get all your favorite characters come back. I don't know all the characters, so I'm not going to attempt to list them. Speaking of non-friendly stuff, Fisto turns up in this, and obviously there is a fisting joke, because that's where you go with that character. Apparently now it's like, yeah, gotta make a fisting joke. So you get that as well. It's really, really interesting. Also, each and every story, each and every issue is narrated by a different character, which again adds kind of, sometimes it's like a shock. Like there's one where Skeletor is narrating the whole story, but you don't find out until the end, but it is kind of indicated by the colouring of the panels, of the kind of voiceover panels, whatever you call them, the inner monologue. But it also gives you a little bit of an insight to each and all of the characters if you're not very familiar with them, like Lion-O or He-Man or Skeletor or Mumm-Ra, all these kind of main characters. And again, it adds, for someone who doesn't really know that much, or doesn't have that much reverence for these franchises, it was really handy for me to grasp that and to hold on to that and to get a greater understanding. But it's really fun. The stakes are high. It's like a multiversal level threat. It's not just like a small story, like everybody is involved. It's a huge battle at the end, and Mumm-Ra and Skeletor get more and more powerful with all their scheming, and you have like Jagar and the Sorceress, these two kind of mystical guides in both franchises. They team up and they try and help. But yeah, just I had so much fun, and it made me feel like I was kind of watching one of those. It was like a finale or like a literal crossover, like the X-Men and Spider-Man had in their kind of crossover story. I felt like it was on those levels, and I could imagine it in a kind of a Turtles Forever kind of animated movie type deal. So yeah, I just really, really enjoy this. I got a lot out of it. Just so much fun. The action is great. The artwork by Freddie E. Williams II is fantastic. It's kind of grim and gritty, yet the colours really pop, and the characters are really vibrant. You can tell the size and strength of He-Man in comparison to Lion-O, who's this more like lithe cat creature, but like He-Man's clearly got muscle upon muscle upon muscle. It's brilliant. You get to go to these different universes and see like there's a multiverse version where the Thundercats and the Masters of the Universe characters are mashed together. So you get Panthro at arms and stuff like that. but it's great fun, and there's these beautiful splash pages. I've probably been showing you all these beautiful splash pages while I've been talking. But the artwork is phenomenal. I think the writing is really strong. It's a fun read, and I think it's one you can pick up. Again, I don't think it's something you can give to kids. There is swearing, like I said, there's fisting jokes, there's stuff like that. So maybe it's not the best one for kids. But yes, go and check it out. It's really good. The art is consistent throughout. It's the same artist, it's the same writers. It's a really strong miniseries. I love a good miniseries over a overly long and disjointed comic book series. I think if you're liking Revelations, which is a more adult take on He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, I think you would get a lot out of this. There's a lot of kind of DC and Masters of the Universe comics out there, a lot on Comixology. I've heard the Eternia War is quite good. I am going to purchase the Injustice versus Masters of the Universe as well, because again, same artist, different writer, sure, but it's within that crossover. I guess he's kind of a crossover artist now. He's doing Batman and Turtles, he's doing that. He's probably known more for these crossovers, and there was another one as well. I think it was a Turtles and something else that was cancelled, which would have been an interesting... I think it might have been Thundercats, maybe. Turtles and Thundercats, possibly. Who knows? But yeah, I think check it out. I think you'll get a lot out of it. I think you'll have a lot of fun. Again, even if you're not a huge He-Man fan, which I'm not, even if you're not a massive Thundercats fan, which I'm not, it was just a blast to read. It was fun. Didn't put it down, all in one go. I just flew through it because it was just so action-packed. Again, it's not loads of exposition, really. It's not loads of, people sitting around. It's all fluid. It's all action. It's all moving, jumping to all these different... They jump into the past, to the future. Like I said, multiple realities. They go into the Castle Grayskull. You see what's inside Castle Grayskull. The ancient spirits of evil are released and released on Eternia. You see the rivalry between the characters. You see... Orko messing up and Snarf messing up, and you get all those kind of lovely character moments. So I highly, highly recommend this. It'll probably be on sale on Comixology soon, if it's not already on sale, because there probably is a He-Man sale going on right now, I imagine, with Revelations, but I don't know. I'd have to check. But it's been an absolute blast reading this comic, and I'm really glad I did. I highly, highly recommend it. If you're after kind of just something nice and easy and fun to read, and it looks gorgeous, go for it. Enjoy, because it is fantastic. But yeah, that is it. I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed that, and also do go and listen to, go buy Judging Dredd. Absolutely go buy Judging Dredd on whatever platform you need, physical, digital. It's available on all. Like I said, all the links will be below. Follow the guys on Twitter and all their other socials, which I will also link. Listen to their podcast, subscribe to Comics in Motion, 20th Century Geek, and the other podcast that Scott does that I am blanking on. Really sorry, but again, it'll be in the links below. And like me, do all the stuff for me as well, because I'm a nice guy, I'm a good guy, I provide decent content. So yeah, subscribe to the podcast. I'm going to do at least one more of these free free videos, and then I'm going to go back to Patreon. It's not my preferred form of content, but I do them, and I enjoy doing them as well. So I just currently don't have the technology and the funds to do it properly and to a really, really good level, and lots of fancy editing and all that other stuff. But I'm glad if you're enjoying it. Let me know. Send me a comment. Have you read it? Do you like it? Like, share, subscribe. Follow my podcast. I've got over 100 episodes now, 106, 107 at the moment, and more to come. I'm going to take a little break in August. But again, I'm going to do another one of these videos, and it's going to be on a Judge Dredd comic, Judge Dredd America. So that's been recommended by Tony, and that's what I'm going to give a look at. And again, there'll be another promo for Judging Dredd, but really check it out, guys. It is just as good as He-Man Thundercats. But that's me. Again, all the links are below. Everything. Do all the good stuff. But thank you very much for watching. Take care, and have a good one.